Thank you so much for joining us. I'll hand you over to Karen and Megan, but firstly, a little bit of housekeeping. If you have a question during the presentation, just type it into the Q&A box and the ladies will answer at the end. And for those of you watching this as a replay, feel free to send any
Hi
questions by
everyone,
email.
I'm Megan from Huma Charity Challenge. We're part of the World Expeditions Travel Group. So joining me is the lovely Karen Fort from Hamlin. We're thrilled to have you join us to explore this really remarkable journey through Ethiopia in support of the Catherine Hamlin Fistula Foundation. Huma's collaboration with the foundation has spanned many years, during which Karen and I have created many diverse itineraries across this extraordinary country. But last year we ventured into the exotic southern region of the Omo Valley, and the feedback from participants has been quite overwhelming. So the unique culture of this area, combined with the warmth and the generosity of the local communities, it really left lasting impressions on everybody who participated. Tonight we'll take you on a virtual journey through Ethiopia, highlighting the profound impact of the Catherine Hamlin Fistula Foundation on both the community and the nation. Founded by Dr. Catherine Hamlin and her husband Reg in 1974, the foundation has been instrumental in treating and preventing obstetric fistulas, transforming the lives of countless women across Ethiopia. So thanks very much for joining us, and we look forward to sharing this inspiring journey with you. So Ethiopia is in the Horn of Africa. It's a nation rich in history, culture, and really diverse landscapes. So we combine the urban culture of Addis Ababa and the profound cultural experiences in the Omo Valley, which makes it a really enriching Ethiopian adventure. Ethiopia is one of the oldest nations in the world and it's often thought by historians to be the location of the beginning of mankind. As the only country which has never been colonized, Ethiopia retains culture and traditions dating back over 3,000 years. The mix of culture and nature in this land really does stand still, and the idea of this itinerary is that you will experience all of this.
Is that just changed? Sorry.
So it's a 13-day journey through the country. So it's quite unique, and it really does showcase the best of Ethiopia, we feel. The rich cultural experience, the unique landscapes, some of which are UNESCO World Heritage rated, and strong connection to the impactful work of the Hamlin Fistula Foundation in Ethiopia. So just a brief rundown of what the itinerary includes. So we have 4 days to explore Addis Ababa and the Hamlin facilities. We visit the Hamlin Fistula Hospital, the Hamlin College of Midwives, and Desta Mender, which is a rehabilitation centre supporting recovering women. We have 4 days with a cultural immersion in the Omo Valley. So we fly from Addis down into Jinka, which is the gateway to the Omo Valley. We visit the Ari Valley, which is known for its pottery and traditional beekeeping, which is really interesting. And then we visit the Mersey tribe, which are very famous, and I'm sure you would have seen in coffee table books of the unique big lip plates people, and that's inside the Mago National Park. Then we go down to Termi, which is home to the Hama tribes, and they're really renowned for their incredible and intricate hairstyles and really ancient traditions. We'll continue south and we visit the Karo tribe, which are known for their body painting, and we continue to Konzo, which is actually a UNESCO listed cultural landscape, which is pretty amazing. And then on day 9, we go to a place called Ava Minch, which is a stunning lakeside town, and we stay at the Paradise Lodge, which Karen will talk about, which everybody loves, with spectacular views over the Rift Valley. And then we continue on to Yergalim and we visit the Hamlin-supported midwifery clinic and Hamlin's Yergalim Fistula Hospital. And there we'll see firsthand there is the essential work that they are doing in maternal health care. So the last couple of days we'll have a nature and wildlife experience. So we'll go out on a boat trip on Lake Hawassa, which is a haven for bird life. We'll visit the twin lakes of Abiata and Shala, which are home to flocks of pink flamingos and great white pelicans. And while we're down there, we head out on some amazing wildlife walks. And later in the presentation, Karen will show you some of the wildlife that you'll actually see down there. It's pretty amazing. So this is basically a really immersive journey and the perfect blend, we believe, of cultural discovery, obviously humanitarian engagement with the Hamlin side of things, and amazing landscapes. And, we feel that this whole itinerary is really a pretty amazing experience and memorable time in Ethiopia. A little bit about the grading of it. So we grade it adventure touring. So it's basically an immersive cultural experience. So it does involve a lot of sightseeing in some of the main places. We tour the Hamlin facilities, and there are some long journeys on sometimes some pretty rough roads, where facilities can be a bit basic, but each day is packed with activities, but we really do stick to a comfortable pace. So you'll never feel rushed, but you just feel like you're really seeing the country, which is the most important thing. So just a bit of a rundown of how the day works. So typically after breakfast, we set off for the day's drive, or we have a tour. We break for lunch and then continue walking or sightseeing or traveling in the afternoon. The evenings after dinner are free, just for personal relaxation and some personal exploration. So the trip is fully supported and guided. The lovely Iyayor, he's beautiful. He's our guide on all of the Hamlin trips. He's fluent in English. He's deeply knowledgeable and passionate, obviously, about his own culture. And he's really committed to providing an unforgettable experience. So he and the team will just make sure that your journey through Ethiopia is really enriching and super memorable. So now I'd like to hand over to Karen, and she's going to talk about her first-hand experience of traveling through Ethiopia.
Hi, everyone. And as Megan said, really, really happy you could join us tonight. And I'm excited to share firsthand experience of the trip, because it really, truly was a totally life-changing experience. And I think everybody that's been on the trip, their feedback has been the same. It really is very unique, for sure. But I think, we start the tour in Ethiopia. The first day you do some sightseeing just to get the lay of the land and sort of unwind after your long flights from Australia to Addis. But it really does give you the sort of sense of what it's like on the ground before we sort of go in and visit the Hamlin facilities. But you can see here, it really is sort of a bustling city. Sometimes I think, when we're going out for dinners and lunches, you would think think you're here at home. Food's amazing. It is very, the restaurants we go to, very cross-cultural. So you do get to have the local food, but there's also a mix of Italian and sort of Western food available as well. I just put in here some photos that just really bring some really fun memories. These women, you'll see these throughout the city. They're carrying such a huge load, and it's still, given that you're in a bustling city, you still sort of see the women working hard like this. They cart these up sort of quite steep hills, because you do go up to the sort of Mount Toto. So, and you get from up at the top of Mount Toto, you see this beautiful view out over all of Addis. And you'll see the guys on their donkeys, up and down the streets as well in the middle of Addis Ababa. So it just always makes me smile and makes me laugh. I saw some camels one day as well. So out the front of the car, next minute I was like, oh, and here's some camels walking along here as well. So it's sort of a real mix of culture, which I think is just magical. And you do really feel like you're in another world sometimes with just the mix of culture. And I think, as Megan mentioned, they haven't been colonized, so they've kept a lot of their unique traditions. You know, the time, the year, it's Christian, Orthodox Christian, so they have they're very beautiful, caring people. So it's just a beautiful culture. So in Addis, we'll visit the National Museum, which is home to the famous fossil Lucy. We go to the bustling Mercato, which is one of Africa's largest open-air markets. And I've got some photos of those in a minute. And you get to witness some amazing cultural food. So here's our injera, with different sauces, which you eat with your hands, which is very traditional. So it's an experience in itself, some of the local food. And in your sightseeing tour that day, you go to the oldest restaurant in Addis Ababa, which is this one. And it's just amazing to see all the old artwork on the walls, and it's just the high ceilings. It's all timber. It's beautiful. And the food is to die for. I think so anyway. And this is some of the spices you see at the Mercato open air market. You can see here just some pictures of it. But as I said, it's the largest open air market in Africa. It covers several square miles and employing an estimated 13,000 people in 7,100 business entities. So a lot of local people in Addis, this is where they shop. So you can get anything. I don't know if you can see here, but anywhere from your fruit and vegetables, and the stall next door has got some machineries, or then it's got, wares for your kitchen and home, all sort of in different areas. And it's massive, as I said, and people just seem to know where to go depending on what they're after in the market. So it's fascinating to see that and to walk around. You get to see Lucy, which is very famous. It's a 3.2 million year old fossil skeleton, female, and it was discovered at Addis in Ethiopia in 1974. And it's a really pivotal find in understanding the early human evolution. So that's really fascinating, and why a lot of people like to go to Addis, just to see Lucy. So next day you'll visit our Hamlin Addis Ababa Fistula Hospital. So this is the first hospital that Catherine and Reg started. And I think what everyone really loved here, it's a very emotional day. There was a lot of tears through all the participants. You get to meet all the staff, and that's truly inspirational. They take you on a tour through the hospital. You get to meet the patients, and they don't speak English, so you will have a translator, but you do get to speak to them as well. So it's really so memorable. Part of the trip, each participant is asked to raise $4,000 in fundraising. That particular amount of money goes directly to pay for surgeries for these women. So you're basically funding 3 women to get surgeries. And most people, once they get fundraising, sometimes it can be a little bit daunting to start, but once you start, most people are raising on average about $5,500. So when people hear your story and why you're going to visit and what the patients have been through, and want to help get these women's surgeries. So we're here as Hamlin staff to help you on that journey and to do as much as we can to support you in that. So again, here you get to meet, as I said, the hospital staff. So you get to meet the nurses, and they're so much fun. They all do speak English, so you can have a lot of fun with them. They're such characters. You'll get to go into the training rooms where the women learn literacy and numeracy, because a lot of them that come to us are very poor. They're illiterate. They've been suffering with fistula for many, many years, hidden away. So we have what we call the Hamlin model of care. So it's not that we bring them in and just give them surgery to go home. They get a whole range of services, from psychosocial to numeracy, literacy, embroidery. They get physiotherapy, because a lot of them can't even have surgery until they've had physio. You'll go into the physio wing. The maternity wing. So once a woman's recovered from fistula, she's encouraged to come back to a Hamlin hospital to have a C-section. So you'll get to meet the mums and bubs. which is really special. And you get to have lunch prepared by the cooks at the Hamlin Hospital, and you get to sit down with key Hamlin personnel. So you can have all your questions answered. They share their experience. Anything you want to know, that's your time to actually sit and have conversations with them. Then you get to wander around this beautiful grounds that Catherine called home for over 60 years. She brought a lot of natives from Australia. She absolutely loved her garden. And the women hang out here a lot. It's so tranquil. You hear people say that so often. It's such a lovely place for people to rest and recoup after their surgery. And here you can just see the famous steps. This was our tour group from March. And yeah, it was just, as I said, it was such a memorable experience to go there. The next day, you then head to Desta, Mender, which is our Rehabilitation and Reintegration Centre. So you get to meet former fistula patients. So these are women who have had fistula repair surgery, and then they come here to do an intensive women's empowerment program. So they really get to learn more skills. They can end up, when they leave here, they get small business skills training, and they get some seed money to go home and actually start a little business of their own. So if they have suffered with fistula for many years and have lived in poverty, they get to go home and be able to earn money for their family. So it's really, really inspiring. But we take you around. It's a beautiful place on the outskirts of Addis. So it's very surrounded in all these beautiful trees and greenery. And we'll take you around and you can meet these patients, and you go around and see all the training facilities, so poultry, farming, the kitchen, and see and get to mingle with them, and you get to have lunch there as well. So that's really key. And then that same afternoon, because they're next to each other, you go and you'll visit the Hamlin College of Midwives. So again, you get to meet all the students that are studying midwifery training. So they're doing a 4-year degree in midwifery, a BSc. And we actually bring the women from areas where they're most in need of maternal health care. Once they're trained, they go back into their home areas. So they do get to go back to where their families are. And at the moment, we've got over 90 Hamlin supported midwifery clinics. So they're government run clinics. Hamlin goes and supports them. We upgrade the clinics, we renovate, and we put a Hamlin midwife in the clinic. And as soon as a Hamlin midwife arrives in those clinics, we see such a difference in the amount of safe births that happen, and also the number of fistulas goes down to 0. So it's really important work that we do there. But you'll get to have coffee ceremony with the staff, and then you can walk around and meet the students. So that's your 3 days in Addis. Then we fly down to this beautiful Omo Valley. So it's unique and exotic cultural experience. This is our group getting on the flight, which was it was a great flight. Ethiopian Airlines are fantastic, I have to say. This region is renowned for its rich tapestry of Indigenous tribes, which you'll see some in a minute. And I was just blown away, because I think, being Australian and the things we've heard about Ethiopia, to see this lush green, the valleys, the mountains, it was just not what I really expected. But it was absolutely beautiful. On this trip, you have the opportunity to engage with communities such as the Hama, the Mersey, the Karo tribes. You witness age-old practices and ceremonies, and it's just fabulous. I can't tell you. It's just nothing you would ever experience anywhere else, in my opinion. The journey through the Omo Valley not only offers cultural immersion, but also showcases Ethiopia's diverse ecosystems. It's just amazing. So when you land in Jinka, the first tribe we go to that afternoon is the Ari tribe. And they're renowned for their pottery. So we get to witness them making the pottery. You can buy some pottery from them there. But the young girls love doing your hair in braids. So we find we're all sitting around having our hair braided and chatting to the young girls while we're sort of witnessing, them making pottery. They made their own gin. We got to see how they made their own gin and got to try the local gin. So that was an experience. Some of us bought some gin to take home, and we actually could try our hand at making injera. So injera is their local bread, which I showed you in the previous slide, that they have their sort of different sauces on. Have to say mine didn't turn out that well. There's definitely an art to the way that they make their injera. But yeah, it was one of the highlights. We had to walk through some of the farmland. Again, it wasn't an overly strenuous walk, but it was beautiful to walk through the landscape to the villages. And yeah, that was one of the highlights. It was actually really pretty. The next day, we travelled into the Mersey tribe. So we go through the Omo Valley National Park, sorry. It's quite an interesting route to get in there. We'd had a bit of rain the night before we went here, so it was a little bit muddy. But again, lush and green and some beautiful landscape and views as we were coming in and out of the valley. But this is the Mersey tribe. So they do undergo various rites of passage. And this tribe is renowned for its wooden and terracotta discs. So they put these into their earlobes, and then they also split and stretch their lower lips to put which you can see here, that they put their discs in. These lip plates may appear bizarre to us. The Mersey regard them as signs of beauty. So the girls' lips are pierced from the age of about 15 or 16, and occasionally the lip plates are worn to a dance by unmarried women. I thought this gentleman was really interesting. They told me his little bun here with the feathers, men don these, and it shows that they have actually killed a very fierce animal in their hunting. And these buns will stay on for about 3 to 6 months at a time. So he was a very interesting man I met and found out all these traditions and just sort of all the headrests they wear. And you can see here just the sort of tattooing. They all have very significance in the woman's journey through from young age to married life. And this is their sort of huts. They're very nomadic people. So they live along the water, along sort of river systems. So very, very interesting. Then the next day we travelled, this is the national park that I mentioned that we went through, so very beautiful views as we're going through there, and you do get to see some wildlife. So our drivers, Eayor and his team are very versed they will stop and if they spot any wildlife for us to see along the way. So yeah, that was one of the highlights as well. So then we go to the Huma tribe, and these are one of the largest groups in the valley, the Omo Valley. So the Huma cultivate millet, vegetables, tobacco and cotton, as well as raising cattle and goats. So they're known for their fine pottery that they produce and their remarkable hairstyling. So I don't know if you can sort of really see here, but it's just remarkable. And just the dress that they have. I just thought they were so beautiful. And the women wear braided necklaces and iron coils around their arms to decorate their skin. And some of these, the different the neck decorations here all mean different things. So are they married? Have they had children? How many children? So it's easy to see what they've got around their neck as to sort of where they are, I guess, in their life cycle. But very, very interesting. And we were lucky enough, these guys have, we got to witness very much a ceremony, and we got to enjoy dancing with them. And we had some coffee ceremony with them. It was very, very special. From there, the next day, we also visit the Karo. This one for me was a highlight. It was actually a very beautiful village, one of the most picturesque. So it's up on top of this sort of, it sits up quite high, and it's on the Omo River. But again, they just have, they're renowned, these guys, for their face painting. So you can see here, a lot of us had our face painted, and that all means, they sort of have different ceremonies for their face painting. And they use locally available vegetable pigments. So it's traced in fantastic patterns on each other's face. They put it on chest, arms, and legs. So yeah, well, that was a lot of fun. We all got our faces painted, and we got to meet a lot of the kids. And it was just a really unique village as well. So here again, you can sort of see some of the kids along the river. This was the housing, slightly different again. We call these tukals. So they all make very different style tukals in all the different villages. This was another, you can see again, very different materials that they build their homes from in this particular village. So this tribe is in the southwest of the Omo Valley. Small tribe. They have ancestral and cultural connections with both the Konzo people and Aboriginal people. And they're also known for their exotic ritual dancing and singing. And again, they did that for us, and a couple of us women just joined in and were able to experience the dancing, the singing, the music, and it was a really unique experience. I really loved this. It was quite different. Again, their headpieces, this all is symbolic, the women and how they have how many different braids and the different pieces that they have in their hair and the different neck jewelry all have specific meaning. Then we go up quite high into the Konzo area, and this is really beautiful. This village, I think, is one of my favorites, and I think they were very much ahead of their time in terms of the running of the villages. And you'll see in this next photo that it does sit up, I don't know if you can see, but it's actually almost like a walled village. And they managed to develop highly specialized agricultural economy. And in the process was one of Africa's most fascinating cultures. It was really, when you walk through it, you're just sort of thinking, wow, this is like thousands of years old. And just the way they ran the village included all the different villages, had the chiefs, and how they had village meetings in the village square and made decisions as communities. Yeah, it was very interesting. During this visit, hopefully you'll get the chance to go to the chief's house, and you'll go to the main square where they will give you all the knowledge on the tradition and everything. But this is the view over the valley, and where you stay that night, this is the view from your accommodation right down over the valley. It's just beautiful. This is some of the pictures of this particular tribe. Here's the men sitting around playing this sort of like a dominoes, and it's actually just wooden pieces that they play in this game. But you can see here almost like little roads through the village, and all the housing. These all have significance. And as I said, you go to like a town square where they actually have meetings, and there's a totem pole in the middle, and each the amount of how do I say, it's not even sticks, but poles in this totem means every time there's a new chief in the village. It's quite interesting. I just thought I'd share these because I just laugh every time I see these. You're just driving along the roads, and, you're just one of, you've got the guys with their donkeys, the women walking along the road, and then the car, you just make way. We always laughed at saying that there'll be some way that everyone maneuvers to get around. And, you just sort of see three men on this little motorbike with the goats. But, that's the beauty of it. It's just beautiful. Then you go to Yagulum, where you'll get to go to visit the Yagulum, our regional fistula hospital. Again, you meet staff, you meet the patients, and then you get to go out to some of the regional clinics. So these are government clinics supported by Hamlin. So you can see here they're quite basic, but because Hamlin's in there, they are renovated, and they have a lot more supplies that we provide through donors' money. This is all provided free of charge for women. You get to meet these lovely midwives and the women that work in the clinics. This is our group here in front of this is a maternity waiting room that Hamlin funded and built. So the women can come when they're pregnant. They can have a place to wait until their labour comes on, and then they can have a safe birth. This is one of the midwives we were lucky enough to sort of meet. And in the background here, just funny enough, was actually, as we were driving past, she said, "Oh, there's my school. That's where Hamlin came and asked, sort of, we go and recruit if they want to be a Hamlin midwife and do their study." So we had to stop and take a photo because it was quite poignant. Again, another photo of the clinics, and here was two of our trip participants. They were both midwives that came on the trip. So, of course, they were very interested in the clinics and meeting and having conversations with the midwives. So that was a very special part of their journey. Then in Ugalam, after you visit that, you go to you do a walk, and it's through some of sort of bushland. And it's not a hard walk again, and it's certainly not a long walk, but you go up to this village and we get to go. They make injera, but they make it from what they call false banana. So I got to have a go, and a few of us did, and it's hard work. It was really hard work, and this is what they do all the time. And you're actually sort of with this makeshift knife, you're sort of pulling this false banana off, and then they make their injera, which is one of their staple foods. We got to go inside and sit with the family while they made us a coffee ceremony, and we got to chat to them. So it was pretty unique. Then after that, we head to Hawassa, where we get to go on this beautiful lake. Now, this day is a little bit more of a leisurely start. We drive to this fishing port, we jump on these little boats, and it's so relaxing. But we got to see hippopotamuses, we got to see storks and hippos. These guys are fishing here. You get to see this is their local fishing village. So this day everyone really loved because it was a little bit slower pace. You just got to sit on this boat and just be out on the river and see some wildlife. So it was really special. And I just wanted to share this with you because these are all the amazing wildlife we happen to see along the way at different parts along our journey. But here's the hippos on Lake Hawassa. We actually got to see hyenas, and they fed hyenas. This was in Ugalam. Monkeys, ostrich, emus, gazelles, warthogs. So yeah, you do get immersed and you do get to see some wonderful wildlife. Then when you get to the Twin Lakes, you're on your way back to Addis. You have one more night in Addis on your return. So this is your day 13. And this has been the highlight for nearly all trip participants as well. It's so much fun. So you get to spend the evening with your newfound friends that you've all become very close on 13 days traveling around. It's local cultural dance. It's a restaurant, it's beautiful food. All the dancers, they wear different costumes and different ethnic dancers from different regions. So it's all very different. You can get up on stage and dance with them. You can get up, sort of around where you're sitting and dance with some of the local dancers. But yeah, it's great food. It's a wonderful atmosphere, and it is such a fun way to end your trip with all your friends. So yeah, it's that was my experience. This is one of the best times, and we also got to try honey wine, which is one of the local delicacies. I couldn't drink too much of it, I have to say. It was a bit too sweet, but also it's very strong. So yeah, most people do have a taste of it at least, and how much they drink of it is up to yourself. But yeah, it's truly a fabulous trip with so much variety, so much amazing cultural experiences that you do get really immersed in. So I encourage you to come along. It's an amazing trip. But I'm going to hand you back to Megan now to go through some of the logistics.
I seriously need to get over there and do that. Anyway, look, just a little bit about the accommodation. We start the accommodation in Addis, obviously, and we stay at the Jupiter International Hotel, which is just a couple of minutes from the airport. It's really well located. It's very close to all the Hamlin facilities and really close to all of our sightseeing. Really comfortable accommodation, twin share, ensuite bathroom, really lovely. And when you arrive so everybody, just a little bit of information, when you arrive in Addis, everybody is met from the airport, so you don't have to worry about arriving going, God, what do we do? We'll be there to meet you and transport you to the accommodation. And this is where you'll stay for your first 4 nights. And then we will once we head down into the south, the accommodation is more simple, definitely, but really clean and comfortable, all twin share, all ensuite accommodation. Just a couple of lodges there, just showing you the Cancer Lodge there in Konzo, and all of the lodges that we stay in actually have attached restaurants. So we have all of our meals in the attached restaurant, but we stay in this lovely accommodation. So in Konzo, in the Cancer Lodge, it's really comfortable, really rustic, but it's really set in these beautiful bougainvillea gardens with beautiful views overlooking the Konzo area. So it's lovely. There's no Wi-Fi though, so it is a bit of a stretch for some people to be, off grid for a little bit. But we found that the groups have really actually enjoyed that, just to be completely, engaged with where they are and away from everything else, and really to appreciate this beautiful part of the world. Paradise Lodge is a place in Upper Minch that everybody really loves. So we've got a night or two there, and that from there we've got great views over the mountains and views over Lake Chamo and Lake Abaya. Very, very beautiful. Again, simple but really comfortable and well-appointed rooms. So all of the accommodation throughout has been well chosen, specifically chosen for your comfort. So it's lovely. Before you travel, if you join up and decide to come along with us, we'll give you a very detailed pre-departure booklet, and in there is all the information that you need to know about visas, vaccinations, what gear to take, all country information, weather information, everything you need is in this pre-departure booklet. Now, a little bit of information on travel advice. So the Australian Government Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, DFAT, currently advises travellers to Ethiopia to reconsider your need to travel. Now, this warning has actually remained unchanged since 2010, and we have taken many, many people to Ethiopia in that time. And obviously we don't go into the do not travel areas, but our itinerary actually focuses on Addis and the Omo Valley, which is regions where DFAT recommends exercise a high degree of caution. And we definitely do not travel into areas that are designated do not travel zones. So, with 50 years of experience, we can reassure you that World Expedition safety protocols are really robust, and we do always prioritise traveller wellbeing. We would never compromise anybody. So we closely monitor developments in Ethiopia, and we rely on updates from our local partners who are very, very well informed, government travel warnings and advisories, and our very experienced local tour leaders and drivers are really vigilant, and they adhere to all directions from any local authority. So really, you can rest assured that you're in good hands. But having said that, while no travel company can guarantee a completely risk-free experience, we are committed to the safety, and that's guided by our really comprehensive safety analysis and our risk assessments. If we do schedule a trip and very last minute things change, we will obviously cancel the trip. So, safety is very, very high on it's very, very important to us. The travel insurance is compulsory, obviously, when you travel to Ethiopia, and we do require, you do have to have the required medical coverage. But because there's no government restrictions in place for the areas that we travel in Ethiopia, your insurance will cover you. So that's a really important thing to understand and know. We also require participants to complete a medical form, signed, unless you have some pre-existing medical condition that we need to know about. Obviously, it's for your safety more than anything else. And finally, not finally, but also vaccinations are a really important consideration when traveling to Ethiopia. So we always recommend that people consult the travel doctor, Travelers Medical and Vaccination Centre, They have the most up-to-date advice on vaccinations. So malaria, typhoid, meningitis are all present in Ethiopia, obviously more prevalent at different times during the year. So the travel doctor can, give you advice on that. Also, there is the risk of yellow fever. So proof of the yellow fever vaccination may be required when you return to Australia. So you still do need that signed little booklet that we've had for all these years. So travel doctors, they're the best people to go and see before you travel to somewhere like Ethiopia, because they'll look at your medical history, they'll look at your plans, they'll look at the time that you're traveling, and they'll prescribe the appropriate vaccinations and medications, obviously to help you avoid any sort of risk of illness. And before you travel, we always recommend that people go and visit their dentist, their GP and their dentist, just to make sure that you're in really good travel health before you go. So actually, finally, visas are required for passport holders, Australians, New Zealanders, Canadians, people from the US and UK. So you do need to other nationalities obviously check with their embassies. But it is possible to arrange a single entry tourist visa for Ethiopia online prior to your travels. And travellers, the only stipulation they have is that travellers must enter via Bole International Airport in Addis, which is where we start our trips. If you decide to travel with us and join us, obviously all this detail will be provided. And World Expeditions, Huma, part of World Expeditions, we're a licensed travel agent, so we can help you with all the information, with all your, travel advice, obviously, and travel insurance, airfares, all that sort of stuff. So the currency there is the birr, and there's about 80 Ethiopian birr to $1 Australian dollar. Australian dollars are very difficult to exchange in Ethiopia, so we recommend that you take US dollars. And in the south, down the Omo Valley, credit cards are not really accepted, so you need to take small denominations of birr. But that obviously is all covered when you're over there with your guides and things. Most people that travel to Ethiopia will travel with Emirates, because they've got a really good connections from Australia, from Melbourne and Sydney via Dubai. So there's just a few hours of connection in Dubai, and most people actually will kind of connect in Dubai, coming from all over the place, and then travel and arrive in Addis together. No, I think that kind of wraps it up. I think, Karen, do you think?
Yeah.
I think so.
Thank you so much, Megan and Karen. That was incredible. I learned so much about Ethiopia then, but I will go to the Q&A box and thank you so much, Megan and Karen. That was incredible. I learned so much about Ethiopia then, but I will go to the Q&A box and just ask some of these questions. So the first question we have is, how much walking is involved?
You want to answer that, Karen?
Yeah, I can answer that. Look, there is walking involved. I wouldn't say it's very strenuous most of the time. Some of the landscape, as you saw in some of the photos, it is sort of dirt and bumpy. But I mean, we're not trekking up mountains or anything like that. A lot of the travel is all in the four-wheel drives. You're walking around sightseeing in Addis. So again, you're really not walking for hours on end either. So I think have a reasonable sort of fitness level. But yeah, I wouldn't say there's a lot of walking. And it's not strenuous. It's sort of just more leisurely walking. You're walking sort of around the tribes, you're walking sort of around the local markets or areas. So I wouldn't say you have to be overly fit or anything like that, to be honest.
Comfortable walking shoes.
Comfortable walking shoes all the time, and clothes. Cool, comfortable clothes. Down south can get hot. It's not really hot that you think of Africa. And Addis Ababa, because it's actually one of the highest cities in the world in terms of altitude, it's actually a very nice even temperature. You might need a little light jacket at night. And it's quite nice during the day at all times of year. So it's actually quite nice to walk around in.
Okay, so the next question, you might have just answered most of it, but how fit do I need to be and what training should I do before?
Again, I would say, if you're walking, doing your steps every day or every other day, and you're just sort of quite, I don't think you need to be a person that's at the gym all the time or doing excessive walking all the time. I honestly don't. I think you'll be able to do it. And we've had all age groups. Like we had 20 on our trip, which is unusual. And we were all sorts of different ages and everyone was fine. So I hope that answers the question.
Thanks, Karen. Now another question, is it imperative that I raise the money?
Yes, that is a part of coming on one of these trips to raise the $4,000 before you leave. As I said before, the earlier you start fundraising, the more time you have to fundraise. But most people find once they get started, it's actually quite easy. And they end up going over the $4,000 requirement. And if you do, it just means you're helping more women have the life-changing surgery. And when you get there and you meet them, it'll make all the difference. But we're here as Hamlin staff to help you with anything at all that you need. So yeah, I think, as I said, once you get started, most people find it's actually quite fun. And their friends and family are very responsive. So yeah.
Okay, thanks, Karen. And what's the maximum number of people on the tour?
Megan, do you want to?
Generally we like to keep it at about 16. 20 was unusual
Too much.
because too many really, because it was just after COVID and everything, and everyone was desperate to get over there, and you ended up having an amazing trip. But I think that a smaller group is better because it's just a little bit more wieldy. It's just a bit easier to get around to all the facilities and have the one conversation. So up to 16 is our preferred maximum, and really anywhere between 12 and 16 I think is a really comfortable group size.
Amazing. So another question, do the tribes all get along?
Oh, that's a good question. They are actually quite a way apart. Because I mean, we had quite some of the driving is quite long. We do stop. The guides will always make sure there's stops for stretch your legs and stuff like that. But from my understanding, no one actually asked that question. So there's a few of them that they don't intermarry. I do know that there's different tribes that you can't marry someone from another tribe. I think these days there's more and more, obviously, marriage into tribal and things like that starting to happen as the world changes. But I didn't hear of anything like that. Certainly not fighting within tribes. There's different areas. I mean, obviously, people have heard of there's some conflict that happens in Ethiopia in the north. More around land and stuff like that, but not down where we go. So not in these sort of real ethnical tribes, is my understanding. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Megan, that you know of.
I don't know any. No.
No.
No, I haven't heard of any problems.
No, I didn't either.
No.
No.
Okay, so the next question was, do you need to have any particular immunizations? And also, is Huma Charity Challenge affiliated with anyone, and are they able to assist with organising travel?
Huma Charity Challenge is a division of the World Expeditions Travel Group. So we operate trips all over the world, and we actually facilitate these trips for the So Karen and I work together as Hamlin and World Expeditions, really. So we facilitate the trip, we operate it, and we work together with that. So what was the other question? What was the other thing?
Just if you're able to assist with organising travel.
100%. So World Expeditions is a licensed travel agent as well as an operator. So we can organise the airfares, we can organise all the travel arrangements. If people want to go after Ethiopia to other places, we can assist with all those travel arrangements. So yes, 100%.
Okay, great. Now there's just a few more questions here. So how much money do you recommend taking?
Good question. I love this one. All depends on how much you want to buy because everything's included in your trip. The only thing that's not, you get unlimited water and all that while you're traveling as well, soft drinks. The only thing you have to pay for is if you want alcohol with your meals, and if you want to buy any souvenirs. So we recommend people take about 500 US, but again, that depends on how much you want to buy. We do in Addis Ababa go to a place called Sabaha, which is very much, they are weavers and they employ ex-fistula patients from Hamlin. The woman that runs Sabaha was friends with Catherine. And Catherine bought a lot of her beautiful Ethiopian cotton scarves and clothes and everything from Sabaha. So you get to go there. They will take credit card. So if you do want to shop and buy some beautiful, it's absolutely stunning stuff, that you can use credit card there. And we also go to a place called Bullets to Beads where we help women suffering from AIDS, and they hand make a lot of jewelry. And actually, I don't have any on today, but I have a lot of Bullets to Beads jewelry. I love it. Again, they will take credit card. So those places with not, if you want to purchase, they will take credit card if you don't want to carry a lot of cash on you. As Megan said, you will have to take US dollars and you can exchange it when you get there to Burr. You won't be able to find Burr here to buy before you go. You'll have to take US dollars. Some participants were able to change their US to Burr in Dubai, but you can definitely get it at the front of the hotel that Megan showed you a photo of. There's 2 or 3 ATMs, and most people were able to get money out as well from ATMs if you just want to do it there. So there's different options, but you do need to exchange your US to Burr in Addis before you go down south. So we do tell you that in all the information you get before you go on the trip. But yeah, we say around 500 because we do actually take some money for tipping in Addis, and the Hamlin rep will organise all the tipping so you don't have to worry your whole trip of all of that as well. And that's roughly around 100 to 140 US for the whole 13 days. And that includes tips to the guides and the drivers and everything. So just to have that on you as well.
Thank you. And so the next question is there a single supplement?
There is a single supplement, yes. So if you specifically want to have your own room, yes, there is a supplement. Do you want to know how much it is? I just can't remember offhand, but yes, but we can organise. So it's about $700.
Okay.
To have your own room throughout the trip. Yeah.
And so this person is planning to come in 2027, late 2027, and wants to know if they can meet the group in Ethiopia so they can go to Tanzania first.
100%.
Yeah. We have a lot of people doing that, extending or going somewhere before and extending after. Yeah.
Okay. How many tours are run each year? And what's the suggested time for raising the money for each participant?
We run 2 a year. Yep. So we've got one in March and one in November each year. And we generally, like, we've already advertised the 2026 dates. So as Karen was saying earlier, the sooner you decide you're going to do it, the sooner you get your fundraising up, the more money you can raise. So I think you need at least 8 months to raise.
At least
8 months.
I mean, some have done it up, but we would recommend you start as soon as you can.
Yeah.
And then are there nets covering the beds at night for protection from mosquitoes?
Yes. They all had mosquito nets, except Addis, but I don't think because it's so high, it wasn't a problem. But definitely all the others have mosquito nets, yes.
Okay. And is there still a trip that incorporates a 10-kilometre run, or is that a different trip?
It doesn't incorporate it. They used to, but we're there around the similar time, so you could extend and do one of the runs if you did want to do that.
We schedule it like, I think the day after the end of the trip, you can do the run if you wanted to.
Okay. Now, there's a lot more questions now. Sorry, girls. Are there any luggage restrictions?
Oh, only for your own sake. You don't need very much. The thing is, it's not a dress-up party.
No, not at all. It's very casual. Very casual. you are in those four-wheel drives, and you're pretty much in and out every day into almost, there's a couple of places you stay a couple of nights, but pretty much you're moving every day. So it's whatever you want to get in and out and, carrying around. I mean, yeah, the porters will help you, but you still, have to do that. And you honestly really don't need much. If you are traveling before and after, though, in Addis Ababa, you can leave a bag. So you can just take the minimum on the trip, like actually down south for the touring part, and you can leave a bag in Addis. So that's also doable. People have done that. I did that myself. So, yeah, you can do that.
Okay. And do the women who come for fistula surgery receive counselling or access to voluntary family planning services as part of their rehab?
Absolutely do. I think that's the one thing I personally love about Hamlin and the work that Catherine started. She was certainly a visionary and before her time. And that she had what she developed called the Hamlin model of care. So we're the only agency that have this all-encompassing, a woman is just not, her incontinence, and we don't just fix that and send her on her way. She just gets absolutely everything to go home and really start her life anew. So, yeah, definitely.
And then how does the fundraising work? Is it only family who can contribute?
It's whoever wants to contribute to your fundraising page. So you'll set it up, and then you'll share it with whoever, your friends, family, work colleagues. Some people have like a morning tea at work, and their colleagues might sort of, fundraise. People have done their wedding. So, people who've got married, say maybe it's their first or second marriage, they've got everything they need. They just have asked for donations instead of gifts. They pretty much raise their whole money just from their wedding. Some do it for their birthday, all sorts of things people have done, hold, bingo nights, and, they've raised over the amount of money from bingo nights and things like that. It's, you really can have some fun and be creative and whatever you like to do. If you're, you like to hold, dinner parties or anything like that, I think you can do whatever you want and ask whoever you want to support you, and as I said before, we're here to help you with any of that.
Okay, so if you are a solo traveller, are you partnered with someone of a similar age in the twin share?
Yes, what we do is we obviously put genders together, and when we're working out rooming, we always look at the ages and kind of team people up. But that can be changed obviously on arrival if but that's what we do. Yes.
Okay, now very important question here: the toilet facilities during the day.
Oh, that's a really good question. Yes. They will make sure that they stop in places where they have like a decent toilet for us. They What we've suggested is they sort of tell us how far is till the next stop, obviously, and how far till the next toilet. You'll always get told that. So, and they'll stop somewhere before we've got like a bit of a drive. Obviously for men, it's a lot easier to stop along the way than for us ladies. But none of us seem to have a problem with that. They are very open and honest in telling you how far to the next toilet. Having said that, the toilet facilities we had were all fine. I had an incident once when I was at the markets, and I didn't have a funny tummy at all, but I just had some urgency to go to the bathroom. They were so amazing. The next minute, a motorbike came, and it was a friend of a friend that took me to this place, and it was all fine. It was an adventure. One thing I will say to everyone, please pack packets of tissues or flushable wipes or something, and always have them in your bag, because there is no toilet paper anywhere in Ethiopia, as in the toilets. So that is something we would tell you before you go, just for your own, personal. But yes, it wasn't a huge problem, but yeah, there are some long drives that you will be advised of that beforehand.
Okay, so switching gears now. Roughly what is the cost of flights? And this person's asking from Perth. I'm not sure if we can answer
Not really.
that, but
Up between $2,500 and $3,000, depending on
okay.
when you book your flight.
Now, another question, another wonderful toilet question, is gastro a frequent problem for travel groups?
Do you know, it's funny? We were a trip of 20, as we said, it was a large trip, and I don't think one person had any problem. The last couple of trips, maybe one person had a little bit of a stomach upset for a day. So not, I wouldn't say a huge problem. I think you have to be very, very careful, though. It is a country where bottled water only. Brush your teeth with bottled water. Be really vigilant in the shower. Don't open your mouth, like don't swallow. You just have to be really on your, you have to be very aware of it. My personal recommendation to people is just, when you start out, just eat cooked food. Some people did eat salads, and I did last time as well, and I was fine. I just recommend to people to, just use your own caution. Yeah. Oh, I could tell you a funny story about my own personal. I always tell people to have a can of Coke a day because in Ethiopia as well, they call it the Black Doctor. Coke kills anything. I don't know. I told my trip that of 20 of us and no one got sick. I don't know. Just saying.
There's actually a probiotic in Australia and a different one in America. So the one in Australia is called Inner Health, and they have lots of different I guess, labels of what they're for. But if you look for the species that's called LGG, that's actually had clinical trials to protect from gastro.
Okay.
So whenever I personally go to a country that's, got bad water, I'll always just take that. And it's a $20 probiotic from the supermarket.
Yeah, great
And
question.
green tea is also another thing that's been clinically trialed as well to protect.
And that's there everywhere as well. I mean, all the hotels have green tea available as well. So that's interesting. There's also Travelan. I know one of the participants on the November trip, she took that and she didn't get sick. Whether it was that or she just, was fine, I don't know. But that's also a probiotic that you can take.
Okay, a couple of other questions. So are you able to please give me some information on how much the full package is approximately for each participant leaving from Melbourne? And of course, everyone, if you've got questions personal to your situation, you can always email us as well, and we can answer specifics as well.
So you're looking at about $5,500 for the trip itself, up to $3,000 for your airfare, and then $4,000 fundraising.
Okay. Now the next question is, how far in advance can I reserve a spot in a tour? I'm interested in March 2026.
Oh, well, she should do it now.
Yeah, we've already started.
We've already got lots of bookings on that one already.
Yeah.
Okay. And are there any laundry facilities?
Oh, that's a good question. In Addis, yes, certainly. Some people were doing little hand washing along the way, but most people didn't need to do washing. They just took enough to get them through down south. But there's definitely in Addis, and you're there for the longest period of time too. So again, if you're coming in from somewhere or going out, I did washing in Addis because I was going somewhere last time as well. So that's definitely, I can say for certainty there.
Okay, fantastic. Now, I'm sorry, just one more question again for someone that arrived late, so I'm sorry. What is the cost for just the land component, please, without the flights?
5,490.
Okay, and the dates for future trips?
All right, so we've got for 2026, we've got
and Megan, you might have to speak up a little bit. There's some people are having some issues with your sound.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so 2026, sorry. I think we have, I think it's the 4th of March to the 16th of March, and then the 4th of November to the 16th of November, 2026.
Okay, and is there a big weather difference between March and November?
No, I've been both times to Addis, not down south in November, only March. As I said, Addis is very similar the whole time. It's wet season is in the middle of the year, which we avoid anyway. So it's quite temperate, I found. It's warm during the day down south, but it's not hot, hot. Um, yeah, so I think between those two, we purposefully pick those. It's autumn and spring,
Mm,
and that's why we pick those times of year.
mm. Spring,
Okay.
there's generally a lot of activity around in the tribes. There's a lot of, spring harvesting and all that sort of stuff. So people are out and about, and you get that beautiful, you get all the spring colours. Autumn, you get, generally you get really clear skies, really beautiful, calm conditions. Both times are really nice. That's why we've kind of selected those two dates.
Yeah. I think coming out of their wet season again is our winter.
Yep.
And so if you go in November, it's actually quite lush and green. It's really, really beautiful. All the flowers are out for spring. They have these yellow flowers that they use for their New Year celebration and things like that. It's really beautiful.
And now is November 2025 full?
Not yet, no.
You've still got a couple of spaces.
But it's guaranteed. So it's definitely going ahead, yes.
Okay. And does most food contain spices like chili?
No, I don't particularly like a lot of chili for those of you asking. And I was fine with all the food. There's some of the Ethiopian, like the sauces on the injera, that can be quite spicy, but again, they can make it without. But there's some that are really beautiful and they're not hot and spicy. So yeah. It's all a different, like they have this Berber, which is their spice. It's not quite chili, but it's got some heat in it. But it's really tasty though. But yeah, they can do a mild version.
Okay, and we've just had the request one more time, Megan, if you can repeat the cost, please.
Okay, so the cost of the trip is $54,990 for the land for the 2 weeks. The airfare, you can expect up to $3,000 from Australia, just depending on, you can just check airfares yourself and just see where they're at. You could possibly get it, as low as $2,500. And then there's the fundraising target, which is $4,000.
Which you can, obviously that's fundraising with friends and family. We do have people, if they are really uncomfortable with that, we do have people that do pay that amount as well. There's that option. But generally most people will just fundraise that
And
amount.
the other thing on the trip payment too is that, once you actually register for the trip, we set up a personal portal for you, and you can just pay as you go. So if you just want little bits taken out of your pay every fortnight or whatever, that can just go straight into that portal. So it's, yep.
Okay, and just for clarification, the chili question was actually an allergy, and so it relates to all the spices in that family. So maybe that could be looked into offline, and if that person wants to get in touch via email, then you could look into that
I think
offline and see.
There's definitely a lot of Italian food options because Italy, they've got a background, with when Italy was in Ethiopia years ago. So it's quite funny. There's a lot of pasta and pizza, and some of the language, the way they drink their coffee, and all this sort of stuff. So there's a little bit of the Italian influence in there. So you definitely have food options there, which has got none of that spice in it.
And the other really important thing is, so long as we are made aware of any food allergy or, food preferences or whatever, if we're given the notice, we can, our team in Ethiopia will absolutely guarantee that, that's sorted. So long as we're advised of that situation, we can cater for it, any diet.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then just another money-related question. How much is the deposit and when's the balance needed?
$200 is the registration fee. So it's $200 to commit to the trip. And then depending on when you're traveling, about 2 months before departure is when the balance is due.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. It sounds like such an amazing trip, and I was so fascinated specifically with all the tribal differences. It was amazing. But it was such an inspiring presentation. If anyone's got any further questions or if I've missed a question, just shoot through an email. I'll be sending the recording out tomorrow. So you can just reply to that email and ask any questions that you may have. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. And hopefully everyone has a fantastic trip to Ethiopia.
Yes, we look forward to seeing you all.
We do. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.